1992's The Lawnmower Man was a moderate success during its theatrical run. It had an original concept and a message not to become reliant on technology. Looks like we missed that one. I really wish I did the same when it came to its 1996 sequel. The film begins with a brief recollection of the end to the last film, where Jobe escapes the mainframe computer at VSI, just before the facility explodes. We then see that a badly burnt Jobe has been found at VSI and is taken to a high-tech facility after his legs have been amputated and received extensive plastic surgery and now looks like Matt Frewer. Jobe has regressed back to his simple ways like in the beginning of the first film. Once hooked back up into virtual reality though, he instantly remembers everything. Jobe is charged with building a virtual version of the Chiron chip for evil businessman Jonathan Walker's Kevin Conroy's shady project Virtual Light at the Virtual Light Institute, so he can rule cyberspace and have total access to everyone's information. Now we are in the future, a dystopian looking future where everything has gone kaput. Peter Austin O'Brien from the first film is now a teenager and now lives with a bunch of his friends underground in an unused subway train where they hack into other people's networks to pass the time. Peter and the others jack into virtual reality, and while they are in there, Peter is separated from his friends and is met by Jobe, who asks Peter to find Dr. Benjamin Trace Patrick Bergman, the original creator of the Chiron chip, for help, otherwise cyberspace will die, and Jobe with it. To say this film has a weak story would be an absolute understatement and an insult to weak scripts. From the get-go, the film abandons and rewrites the ending of the first film entirely. As I stated at the beginning, Jobe escaped, and anyone who has seen the first would of course know that Jobe's entire being, essence, was transferred to the mainframe at VSI. Then in 2 they find an entire Jobe, so to speak, as though it never happened. There is no explanation to how he gets his memories back, just by entering virtual reality? Please. He never even uploaded or stored them anywhere because his objective was to become one with and control all networks and technology around the world. Also, once his memories and genius intelligence came back, wouldn't his abilities over the real world return as well? There's so much verbal techno-babbling shit in this film which hardly ever makes sense, no matter whose mouth it comes from. The filmmakers either don't know what they are talking about and are trying to come across more clever than they actually are, or they think the audience are stupid enough to swallow the crap being said in the film. For example, Jonathan Walker tries to convince a senator to fund his virtual light project. It's never properly explained in the film how or why the Chiron chip is so important. All they do is show us a video diagram of yellow, gold, white marbles in a circular formation with light bouncing back and forth from each of them into a static blue marble in the centre. They make out that it's an entire computer network based inside virtual reality. Exactly, it doesn't make sense, because you would still need hardware in the physical world for it to connect to for it to work. Or is it just me? Peter manages to find Dr. Trace and his only form of explanation is through the internet. Trace has cut himself off from society in the middle of nowhere with no technology and electricity, so how would Peter know where he is? What's contradicting and convenient is that Trace has a small computer stored under his home and a landline video phone which he hooks up to his imaginary plug socket, but we're not supposed to question that. The film states it is in the future, but no specified year. You can estimate it's been about 5 or 6 years since the events of the first film due to Peter being in his mid-teens. But what's silly and confusing is that we see a time that clearly looks so much further into the future than that. 40 to 50 years I'd say. Why is it always nighttime there? And it's a blatant rip-off and cheaply done version of Blade Runner. Very imaginative. The acting is mostly hideous. Austin O'Brien is so-so at best, whereas his friends are essentially one person split into 3. And they don't really have a personality between them. They never do anything alone and never really add anything to the proceedings. Their pet dog shows more intelligence. Kevin Conroy is essentially a straightforward generic corporate bad guy, and it's made clear from the outset. It's as though the writers said play corporate maniacal bad guy, and that's it. So that's what we got, because of course us as an audience don't expect anything more. Patrick Bergman is the only positive note in the acting department. Watch him in Sleeping with the Enemy to see why. He is of course the sequel's Dr. Angelo, but a lot more underdeveloped. The most shocking thing about his character is how smart he is supposed to be creating the Chiron chip, but relies too heavily on Peter and his friends to get things done in the film. Matt Frewer at the time was known for playing Max Headroom in the 80s, which director Farhad Mann was also known for. What a coincidence that they both end up working together on this. Frewer is very miscast here. Jobe is cringy and laughable, but not in a good way. I never regarded him as a threat, and you can easily see they ripped it from Jim Carrey's The Riddler in Batman Forever. They also threw in Frewer's own Max Headroom as well, for good measure, to create the abomination you see on screen. There's no consistency with the character from film 1 to film 2. Why is he like this? There's no reason why. But even by then, why is the only main constant in this film anyway? The CGI looks passable. When it comes to seeing CGI characters once anyone enters virtual space, forget it. Unlike the first, all the filmmakers have done is just chroma keyed characters in against film footage or digital backdrops. The cheap route basically, and it's awful. The first film was to show what CGI could do, and did it very well. This one was to show how to cut corners and to cheat the audience, and they did it in spades. I'd take my hat off to them for it. The film had a budget of $15 million compared to the original's $10 million, which never looked cheap. The film didn't have big names, the CGI and effects are questionable as is the plot and script, so where did the budget go? Whatever the reason, the whole film falls flat on its arse at every turn, and shouldn't have been made. Lawnmower Man 2 Beyond Cyberspace, aka Jobe's War, like any other film has its fans, and it baffles me why anyone could praise this film in any shape or form. I'm just going to have to put it down to being one of the great mysteries of the universe, and if I question anything else about this film, I'll probably get a headache, so I'm going to leave it here, because my last paracetamol deserves better. Well guys, thanks for watching, I always appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed my rant review of Lawnmower Man 2 Beyond Cyberspace. Please do tell me your thoughts down below, positive or negative. If you are new to my channel, please click like, subscribe and all the notification options, so you can keep up to date with my latest reviews. Thanks very much guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you next time.